Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
How's it going in Germany right now for you guys?
Pretty calm at the moment, so we're basically just at home. Everybody's running on his own schedule. 'Cause some teams they started to train already, but our state didn't open the facilities, so we're just stuck at the moment.
Are they saying anytime they think that they'll open it up for you guys?
No, because the club didn't give us any information so far, so nobody really knows when we're about to start again. Like a couple of weeks ago, I heard that there might be an opportunity to start around September again, but I don't know when we might train again.
Jeez, that's tough. That's tough to not know.
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty long winter break and played 3 games after that, and yeah, now we're off since March 13, so that's pretty long.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, here in Finland, we've been off since I think March 19th, and they just announced today that they're gonna try to open the series back up in June.
Okay.
So.
Well, at least you have a time schedule.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure though how many weeks they'll give a preseason or what before before
Yeah.
they start having us play games. We'll see.
I mean, if they're smart, they do that because, I mean, you know how it is. You get your schedule, you go running and stuff, but it's not the same like playing football on a pitch with 11 versus 11. So the intensity is pretty different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we just did a. I gave the guys a training session 2 days ago. I think that was like a 90-minute simulating a game in like the amount of time you'd sprint, walk, jog, all of
Okay.
that. And they're like, "Oh, my body feels good after it." I'm like, "Yeah, because you didn't have anyone tackling you or stepping on you. It's running by yourself can never be the same as a game."
Yeah, true, true.
All right, guys, we're gonna get started. Welcome back to another Footy and Coffee Conversations. Unfortunately, my guest today is not a coffee drinker, but we're still gonna interview him. I think he has a unique story and something a little bit different than a lot of the other guys we've been interviewing on the show. So excited to get into it and hear his story. So just to start, if you want to say your name, what club you're currently playing for, and what position.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marcel Appiah. I'm 32 years old, center back of VfR Aalen at the moment. So that's where I'm basically playing.
Very cool. Yeah. So you grew up in Germany,
Exactly.
correct? And
Yeah.
but your parents are one Ghana and Italian.
Actually, my mom is German.
Okay.
I don't know why everybody asked me if my mom is Italian, so I looked it up on the internet, and it's somewhere on the internet that my mom is Italian, but my uncle actually is Italian.
Okay.
But my dad's from Ghana, my mom's from Germany.
Okay. So you grew up in Germany. Talk a little bit about your youth career experience. I think it's a lot different than the guys that have been on here talking about the U.S. system.
Well, I started playing at the club with my cousins, my younger cousins. So we started when we were 3 years old. I stayed at the hometown club right next door, like 5 minutes to walk, and
Oh wow.
I played there till I was 11. Played for some youth selections of our area, and due to a tournament, I got the opportunity to transfer to Schalke, where I played a couple of years. Then I made my way to Bochum, which played first league at that time, and I played under 17. And after that, I went to Wattenscheid, which is like pretty much all around the Ruhr district. And yeah, when I was 18, I finished my youth career, to say it like that, in
Yeah.
Wattenscheid.
So at what point in those youth years growing up was professional soccer, did that become the goal for you?
I mean, it's pretty much everybody's goal when once you start playing soccer and you're on the pitch. Everybody dreams of playing in the big stadiums and yeah, having the crowd cheering for you. But I have to be honest, like I didn't really focus on becoming professional soccer player, like not with 100%, but when I turned 17, 18 maybe, there was the question of about what I wanted to do after school, and playing soccer was always my passion, so I thought it would be a nice idea to just go on with soccer and do it for a living.
Had you always been a center back at that time?
No, I played right midfielder,
Oh, wow.
but I mean, I didn't score a lot. I didn't have all those dribbling skills, so a coach decided to put me on right back position, and now I ended up as a center back.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, in Europe it's a little different. There's not the same university route for sports. So by 16 to 18, somewhere in there, guys are signing professional contracts and heading into the professional world. It's a lot different because then you're a young player and you're playing against, 30-year-old guys and grown men. So it's I think a much different environment than what we have in the US. What was kind of your first experience in professional soccer being the young guy on the team?
I had a pretty remarkable event, and that's when one of the older guys kicked me so hard that I've been out for I think 5 months. So I was
Oh,
injured
wow.
pretty bad. He hit my knee in a bad ankle. So he just wanted to teach me a lesson, but yeah, I mean it would have been enough if he would just told me. So yeah, that was a little bit of a hard lesson for me. But after that, I felt perfectly fine and adapted pretty fast to yeah, men's soccer.
Did he apologize for that?
No, he didn't.
No.
No, he didn't. I mean, um, during that time, like the atmosphere in the team was pretty different compared to nowadays. So the old players, they just pretty much did whatever they wanted, and they were, yeah, most of the time protected by the coach, and the younger players just have had to be quiet and just learn the lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think something that's starting to change more, but I think especially back then the coach basically protected the starters who were the older players usually, and they could
Sure.
do whatever they wanted to the younger guys. And I think the older guys too see the younger guys as a threat to their position, so they're not happy to have them coming up and playing outplaying them.
Yeah, that could
Uh,
be it.
so then talk a little bit about those first couple years in professional soccer. Are you working with an agent at that point? How are you negotiating your contracts?
Yeah, I was working with an agent like from my 17th birthday on. Like we made an agreement that I would work together with him, and my first years in professional soccer were like pretty much up and down first because I moved away from home and like I wanted to get this experience to see what the world has in store for me. And I didn't feel very comfortable being away from home first. So I had to go through it and I transferred to Bielefeld that time and started to play for the second team. And I mean, the flow got better and better for me, playing, winning games, and like staying outside with the team. And we promoted to a league higher then, and that was about the time that the coach from the professional, like the first team coach, he got me up to the first team. First as a training guest, you might say. Then I started to play like friendlies, and then he gave me my debut.
How old were you when you got your debut for them?
I was 21,
Okay.
21, yeah.
What
Yeah.
was that experience like?
Was nice because it was a Monday evening game, 8 o'clock, so pretty much prime time. And we played against a team which promoted that year, and they had some great players that time, so it was a cool atmosphere.
And you were playing as a center back for that game?
I was playing as a right back,
Okay.
and I kept playing as a right back for a couple of games and switched to center back afterwards.
I think that's probably a little bit easier transition to start in a game as an outside back than as a center back as a young player. There's a lot of stress and pressure as a center back as a young guy, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I think so. Because like if you don't catch your winger, like your opponent winger, there's still a center back who's able to head the ball away and stuff. But if you're a center back, then you're just like basically the last man standing before the goalkeeper.
Yeah, yeah, and if you make the mistake and it's one with the goalie, no one expects the goalie to make that save anyway, so they're
Yeah,
all blaming you.
true.
Uh, how many years did you stay with that club?
I played for Bielefeld for 6 years.
Okay, and then what was the reasoning to move on at that point?
I was actually pretty sad because we relegated down in a relegation game. We won the away game with 3-1 and lost 4-2 at home. And
Brutal.
yeah, that was a cruel event. And then after that, I just felt like I needed to do something new, and I went to the Netherlands.
Yeah, how was the experience in Netherlands? What was the biggest difference between German football and Dutch football?
As a defender, the Dutch football is a little bit different for me because the wingers were like really fast. Their technical abilities were a little bit higher than in Germany or than I was used to, especially with in combination with their speed. And it's more like you play football, while in Germany it was like more of a, I wouldn't say battle, but it was just a little bit more intense running wise and one-on-one wise. So the Netherlands, I had to adapt to a lot of short passes and position play.
So how did you find you were able to best adapt through team training, through things you were doing on your own? What was kind of your route?
I think the team training in the Netherlands was pretty good because we used to play a lot of possession games, like small side games, and like I got better and better faster. So my abilities from Germany and my knowledge from Germany helped me in the Netherlands, and they helped me pretty much adapting the Dutch way of football pretty fast.
Now, what just out of curiosity, what language did you guys use to communicate?
I learned Dutch when I was in the Netherlands, so I
Okay.
spoke Dutch most of the time. Otherwise, like we had some players from Sweden, from Iceland, from Iran, like all over the world. So those guys who didn't speak Dutch or weren't as far as others were in Dutch class, they just spoke English.
So when you first got there, obviously you didn't speak any Dutch. Was someone translating for you at training sessions and things, or were you just kind of watching, going to the back of the line, and then trying to jump into the drill?
So. Like sometimes when I really didn't understand the word, I just tried to look and see what the other guys were doing. Else, German is pretty similar to Dutch, so learning Dutch was easy for me. And if you understand or if you speak German, you also understand some Dutch, so it was like pretty easy to transfer.
Yeah. When did you learn English?
At school.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah. No, it's good English. There's not any
Thank
like
you.
any accent. So
Thank you.
you just speak those three languages?
I speak Spanish now. I would say it's a little Spanish because I've been out of school for quite a while, and I speak some French. But if I would go to those countries, I could communicate.
Very cool. So did you enjoy your time in the Dutch in Netherlands playing?
Oh yeah, I've played there for 2 years. Like a good part of it was also that I was living together with one of my best friends. And we used to play together in Bielefeld for the under 23 squad. So we knew each other already for 3 years and met each other at the same club again. And yeah, we instantly decided to live together. So it was a pretty cool time. The first year we became champion. It was a record-breaking season. We won 100, or we got 101 points. So
Oh
we won
wow.
every home game, and I mean that's a pretty unique feeling to be able to win every single home game, and that's pretty nice for the crowd too. So we had a lot of supporters.
So then you go back the second year. Are you guys promoted at that point
Um,
then?
yeah, the second year we played at the highest level was the Eredivisie, the first league, and we made a pretty good, like we played a solid role. We were like in range of the European qualifiers, but at the end of it, we just had, yeah, I would say our breath was a little short in the end, so we didn't make it to the qualifiers. But overall, we played a pretty great season for a team that just promoted again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always usually an adjustment period to get promoted, and the goal is just to stay up. So to be in the running for European qualifications the first year is massive.
Yeah.
At the end of the second year, what are you thinking? Are you thinking you want to stay in the Netherlands? You're thinking you want to go back to Germany? What's kind of your thought process?
I actually would have loved to stay in the Netherlands, and things were looking good for me in winter break because we were talking, but there was a change of the coach, and the new coach kind of didn't have me on his paper, so there was like no use for me at this moment, and he had his own players coming in, so I decided to go back to Germany.
Now, when you went back to Germany, how did you decide what club to go to? Because you'd been away, you'd had success, so you're coming back and it's a little different than maybe when you left Germany to start.
Yeah, I mean, I first was talking to a lot of clubs, and like my agent was not me directly,
Yeah.
but my agent was, and like negotiations were going forward and backwards again, and at some point they just like yeah, they didn't move anymore. So I was a little bit concerned what might happen in future, and it was about that time that the season already started, and it's always not a good sign if you're without a club, not having a contract, and the season already starts. And it was like around the fifth match day already when I heard that a player was leaving the club and was on a buyout clause. So I knew that there was a spot getting free, and I told my agent to take contact to that club again, and it worked out.
What year? That was 2014,
That was 2016.
2016. Okay.
Yeah.
So you signed with a club, you're back. How long do you stay with that club?
With that club, I stayed 2 years.
How was your experience with it?
Also so-so. The first year we played a good role. We would have loved to promote, but I mean, yeah, we didn't play that good, but we had a pretty good flow and some really good players, and we didn't make it to promotion. And the second year was just a horrible year overall for the team and for myself too, because I didn't play the way I expected it. I didn't play the way everybody expected it. And overall, the team didn't perform well. So the second year wasn't that good.
So you have I guess a down year you'd call it. You're finishing your time at that club. At that point, you've obviously played a lot of years. You're not old at that point, but you're also not a young player. Are you thinking at all maybe it's time to hang them up, or are you just thinking maybe a change of scenery will get me back into form?
Um, I mean, it's a little different to maybe the US. due to not going to university and then going to a professional club. So I started to go to university when I went to Bielefeld, but stopped when I was a starting 11 player for the first team. So I didn't graduate, like I didn't finish university, and I always went on the same track. So becoming professional, staying professional, trying to get the next contract somewhere was always my main goal and the one thing I focused on. And hanging them up was never an option for me. So I was sure that I wanted to play. I loved playing, and I felt good enough and healthy enough to keep doing what I wanted to do. So I was just basically looking for a next opportunity, for a next chance.
So then how do you find the next club after that?
Like when I left my last German club, before this one, I didn't have like too much opportunities in Germany, to be honest. The year, as I said, wasn't a great year for myself, wasn't a great year for the whole team. A lot of people had high expectations, and we didn't fulfill them. So there wasn't a lot of movement, position-wise, but also for me in person. So I got to that one point that an agent asked me if I was interested to go to the US, and I said, yeah, I would listen to it, and maybe fly over to see and talk to people, and that's what I did in the end.
Had you been to America before then?
Only on holidays and for a tournament.
So what was kind of your thought before living in the US? What did you kind of picture the US as?
I mean, everybody knows about the US from television, from Instagram, from holidays, and but people only like most of the people only go to like the hot spots in the US, and that's like if you go somewhere on holidays, you only see or you usually only see the good sides and like the nicer areas and cities, and I didn't really know what to expect, and the club I was talking to at that time was Birmingham Legion. So I looked it up a little bit, Alabama. Um, I think I also watched a video on YouTube, like 10 reasons not to move to Birmingham, Alabama. But that pretty much didn't shock me because I wanted to get my own experience, and I flew over to see how things were going there.
Yeah, what was your first experience seeing Birmingham, Alabama? Because I don't think many foreigners travel to Birmingham.
I landed in Atlanta, so I got picked up and drove like 2.5 hours something on the highway to Birmingham, and I mean it was a cool city for me because even if it's not a big skyline, it still has a skyline, and I'm not used to seeing a skyline that much. We have one in Frankfurt. Of course, we have some higher buildings in each city, but it was like a certain flair coming over, and I was just curious to see how the people were and yeah, how the project would be like.
Yeah, what was the biggest difference to you from the soccer here compared to football in Germany?
First of all, was the weather because it was pretty hot and humid when we started, um, and I also was just I don't know. It's not pretty much of a difference. So there are a lot of technical good players, and I mean America has a lot of great athletes. So the players coming there were already fit, and they have already played a couple of years. Maybe not as long as I had or European players usually play, but everybody had like a good couple of years under their belt, and it was a pretty solid team.
Yeah, did you feel any maybe like extra pressure being a foreign player coming in, being, an older guy on the team maybe?
I talked to the coach a lot before I made the transfer, and also to the GM. And of course, we had our expectations and like which role I should play, and like what my position was in the team. But that was kind of what I was used to growing old in Europe. Because if you go to a different team and you had like a lot of games in the previous year, everybody expects something from you. So that wasn't a big difference for me.
Yeah. So you start the first 3 games of the season?
I played the first game of the season, and unfortunately, I got injured before the second game of the season during training. Like was on excuse me, was on match day when I was like just doing a light workout. I got injured, and unfortunately, it took me out for 10 weeks in total because I got re-injured during training, and that was pretty much my American soccer career.
Yeah. So then you guys agree to part ways at the end of the season. At that point, are you at all interested in trying to find another club in the U.S., or are you thinking going back to Germany is the right call?
I mean, I left Birmingham before the end of the season. Actually, I left like halfway because in Germany the season started in June again, and I was talking to a club and also looking to find an opportunity to stay in the US. But at that point, from the experiences I made in America, talking to a lot of cool guys, like really, really good guys, and friends, I would say, like Ben, who was here last week,
Hmm.
or Mikey Lopez, or Chandler Hoffman. I was talking to them and trying to figure out like how their lives been going so far. And I got to the point where I said, okay, I love football and I still go all in for football, but maybe I should just try to focus on finding like a second way, like a plan B, because I never made a plan B so far. And I had to be realistic at one point that staying in America would be a nice thing to do, but maybe not the smartest thing to do for like the years after football. So I was pretty pretty fast sure that I had to go back to Germany and play football, like keep playing football, but start doing something else besides it.
And what's your hope now? Do you have a set how many years you would still like to play, or just until your body allows you to keep playing?
I might just say I will keep playing till my body falls apart, but actually at this moment I still have 2 more years of contract. Like we're halfway now. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Like we're not halfway. We played half of the season or a little bit more than half of the season, but nobody knows if we're continuing the season. So I also still have 2 more years at my club, and then I'm 34, and we will see where I go from there.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's you never can predict what'll happen or how you'll feel in 2 years from now, anyways,
Exactly.
to make any bold predictions. Real quick, I'm gonna say that each 3 of the countries you've played, and I just want you to give like 1 to 3 words that come to mind when you think of football in that country. Okay.
Okay.
So with Germany, what comes to mind?
Run, tackle, fight.
Netherlands.
Um, oh, that's tough. Pana. You know what pana is?
Yeah, yeah.
Pana, possession play, and tactics.
Okay. And U.S.
US, run, tackle, fight, and possession play. Yeah.
I I figured you would say run for the U.S. That's kind of a given.
Yeah, I mean, running was a big part of it, to be honest. But I mean, that's pretty similar to Germany, because when I came to the US, as I said, everybody was already fit. So like the preseason was pretty good. Everybody was in good shape, and everybody can run. So that was a thing everybody could do.
Yeah, I'm sure the summer training sessions in Alabama is a whole nother beast than what you're used to in Germany.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Um, so you've had a lot of different experiences, a lot of unique experience. You've gotten to promote with 2 different clubs, play in 3 different countries. Looking back on your career, if you could go back to maybe 15, 16-year-old self before you kind of start this professional track, what would be the biggest advice you would give yourself?
Um, I think the biggest advice I would give myself would be don't be too loyal. Like, be the guy you are, but don't be over loyal. Because like the thing I realized a little bit too late maybe is that even if you're loyal to people and they pretend to be loyal to you, it's still a business going on, and it's a big business. And nowadays it's even getting bigger and bigger, and players are getting younger. But I would just like try to see a little bit more opportunities. Like um, talking about agents, I would just like I always refused to change my agent because I was like thinking, okay, he's my guy and he's gonna bring me places and he's gonna open doors for me. And to be fair, I might just have changed maybe a couple of years earlier. Not saying that he was like guilty or it was his fault that way some things went a different way, but just to get like a new input and see like new markets and stuff, open new doors, that would have been a good thing. And else, I would just like pretty much do everything I can to be more successful. Because I think looking back, you always find some things like say, okay, I would train a little bit harder here, train a little bit hard on this, train a little bit hard on that. Like, that's what I would do.
What's the number one thing you would have trained differently looking back?
Offensive headers, because I'm a tall center back, but the times I score, like I can count on two hands, and I would like over all years, and I would like to score on every header, but I need more timing for that, like a better timing.
Yeah, it's a lot different than a defensive header for sure.
Yeah.
If there was one country you could choose to play football in, which country would it be that you haven't played in?
I would love to play in Spain, just from the atmosphere. Like there are a lot of evening games, and football is like a social event there, similar to America, where like neighbors come together, they just sit and watch. But I just like the whole thing about the Spanish football.
That's a little bit different style of play than German,
Yeah, it is.
and a very different style than the U.S.
Yeah.
Um, you obviously you said your team's not been training since March 16th, I believe. What are you doing to stay prepared for when you guys can start and get back together?
We had our schedule, and I'm trying to work on my schedule. Else, I'm just like combining stuff, like doing stabilization, mobilization, a little bit power training, like the things you can do at home or with light weights you have at home. Further, I'm just like running and like cycling and stuff, just trying to stay in shape and keep moving.
Yeah, I have a theory that this kind of pause from football can be very beneficial to players that are a little bit older, just because you've been going, 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 going without really a break for so many years. And so it's the first time that you get to have a little bit more free time in your day to even think or do something else other than football. Obviously, there's the physical element that you're gonna, you can't stay in game shape without playing games, but
Hmm.
have you found mentally that it's been kind of nice to just have a break and re-energize yourself to get back on the field?
Actually, yes, because I found the time to start study. So I'm going to university now. It's an online university, so I can do everything from home. But that kind of keeps my mind up too. So like I'm not focusing on studying now, but like when I'm finished with training, with running, with power training, I just find the time to go and read some stuff, like not only a book or a newspaper or something, but something I can work on my future.
What are you studying?
International management.
So what's your plan when you're done with football? What would be your dream job?
My dream job, I don't know. I want to work international, so I want to like transfer my life from football, like playing in different countries, to my work life after football, to be able to work maybe in the Netherlands or go on a business trip to the US or stay there for a company, get back to Germany or something, like just to be like open-minded and open towards the world and see and experience different cultures and different types of lifestyle.
Absolutely. Um, I like that. I like you're leaving yourself open to a couple different countries to live in.
Yeah.
I take it you really enjoyed the lifestyle in Amsterdam in Netherlands.
Yeah. I mean, Dutch people are pretty cool. Germans are cool too, but going from like a lot of Germans enjoy to go to the Netherlands on vacation, or if it's like a city trip or something, because the people are a little bit more open, they're more relaxed than most of the German. Like I can't say every German isn't open, but like you have the feeling that and the impression that Dutch people are a little bit more relaxed, and that's what I like. Yeah.
So as a center back, obviously it's a position that it can be stressful at times because, as we were talking earlier, you make one mistake and the only person behind you is a goalie. So often it's going to lead to a goal being scored or at least a dangerous chance created. What would be your advice to younger players to kind of block out that mental negativity of, oh, if I mess up, I'll be a failure type thing? How do you stay focused and stay positive when you're on the field?
I think a big part is preparation. So apart from training hard and playing hard, it's also about watching as much football as you can and focusing on how players on your position play. It's not necessarily like Sergio Ramos or the big players to watch. It's also like a game you wouldn't necessarily watch, but it's like a little bit more like closer to your own level. You can just see how they play and what strikers might do. And apart from that, like playing as a center back is, of course, like you're responsible for stopping the striker and like helping the goalkeeper out. But on the other hand, you know before the game that the strikers are coming towards you. So you just have to be in shape and like mentally fit enough to be convinced that you will stop the opponent's attack, and you pretty much know where they're going because you know where the goal is located. You know who's behind you and how much space is behind you. So it's pretty much an easy thing to stay mentally fit on that one.
Yeah. Who would be your dream player, the ultimate player to defend against in a game? Who would you choose?
The ultimate player to defend against in the game. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I respect every player because every player might do something unpredictable to me and have a good or a better day than I have. So it's pretty hard to say who I would love to defend against. But I think just to test myself, I would love to defend against a guy like Lewandowski, who scores a lot of goals in the league and who's fast and like pretty technical. So I would like to test myself in that one.
Yeah, he would be one you have to mentally be able to not be bothered if he gets past you,
Yeah,
right?
but a friendly would be all right, so we don't lose any points. So I would take a friendly for that.
I like it. I like it. Um, you mentioned a little bit earlier talking about one thing that you advice maybe to younger you was don't be scared of kind of moving on from an agent and trying someone new or trying something different. To our younger listeners, what would you say is kind of the key questions or characteristics you want to ask an agent when first signing with them as a young player?
Um, I mean, an agent has to be convinced that you're able to make big steps. That's the one thing. You have to kind of read if he's 100% into you, like if he's 100% convinced that you're gonna make a great career, and if he has any doubts and he's just trying to make the next contract, then he's probably not the right one, because a right agent should be like, yeah, I would say like a family member you can trust 100%, because there are so many things coming towards you when you actually start playing professional soccer. And it's just important to have somebody aside who's like going through that with you. But that one person has to be convinced, even like almost like your mom and dad would be convinced that you're gonna make your way. And if he's not, then he's probably just out for the next contract to get his bonus. And then if you have problems, he's not the right guy to talk to.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like the comparing it almost to your parents in a sense, because I think especially as a younger player, that's right below kind of your parents, and their guidance is who you're looking to look out for you in your career starting off, especially.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate you taking time to share your story and answering my questions. I thought it was very interesting, again, just because it's a lot different than maybe a lot of the interviews we've had with American players coming up through club soccer and then college and then either the draft or whatever, which is, very different than the European style of route to professional football. So thank you for sharing your story with all of us.
Thank you for inviting me, and I appreciate the time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man. Yep. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.